It's not every day that a book comes along and changes the way that you look at things. Hi friends, today I'm going to share two books that did just that. It changed the way that I look at real estate and business. The first one, the number one priority, if you only read one book, this is the one, is Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. The premise of the book is that you don't need to know all the answers, that you don't need to know how you're going to do something. But in fact, it's not about how you're going to do it, but who you need to bring into your life to be able to do it. And this applies to many areas of life. Let's take Michael Jordan as an example. Early on in his career, when he was in the NBA and part of the Bulls were actually struggling. They weren't a world-class team right from the beginning. What Michael Jordan was missing was a coach that could bring the team together and bring out the best in him. And that's where Phil Jackson comes into the picture. He was brought on as head coach and he was able to bring the Bulls and Michael Jordan together. They were able to work better together, eventually became one of the greatest eras of basketball history. Who Not How really builds on one of the main premises of another famous book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. In the book, Napoleon Hill interviews Henry Ford, founder of Ford. Now, what he did was he had a group of people around him that knew how to run the business better than him. He had individuals that were specialists in each of the areas required to run a successful automotive business. And when there's a question and if he needs to solve something, he doesn't need to know the answer because he has a bunch of who's around him. He's able to pick up the phone, or I think in the example, he has a button on his desk that he presses, and when he presses that button, the leader or VP of that specific department comes into his room, into his office, and is able to answer the question that he's looking to get answered. In that example, when we talk about Henry Ford, he doesn't need to be the expert. He doesn't need to worry about how he's going to build a business or how he's going to run the Ford business. Instead, he relies on who is going to run this business for him. Or I guess with him, it would be more accurate. The same can be applied today. When I look at my own ventures of going into flipping, I didn't know a thing, but I started out by educating myself through books and podcasts. But the most important thing I did was surround myself with individuals who were experts at the game of flipping, whether that was attorneys, accountants, contractors, realtors, all who had done flipping. And what I love about the concept of Who Not How is it doesn't just apply to business or finance or real estate. It applies to all areas of life. Like, let's say you want to work out, you want to become healthier, you need a better meal system, for example. You don't need to necessarily know how you're going to do all those things, how you're going to work out, but it's a matter of bringing in people who know how to do those things. Okay, so we've talked about Who Not How. Now my second favorite book that I'm really excited about and that I really recommend is called Just Keep Buying. There's multiple concepts in the book that I think you should definitely go out and purchase because those are really key concepts that I think everyone should know. But there's one that I really think that really made a difference for me. And that's the idea of to just keep buying. And I think this idea is even more important now, given that we're going into a recession, or depending on who you ask, we might already be in a recession. And the premise of the book is that you shouldn't try and time the market, but just, as the title goes, just keep buying. The general advice is buy low and sell high. Now, that's easier said than done, but what most people do is they'll buy as prices are going up, but as soon as prices start going down, they start to sell. They see the headlines, they get caught up in all the fear, and they sell. And usually it's the worst time to sell. The second biggest mistake that people make when prices go down is they stop buying, when in fact this is the perfect time that they should be buying. Prices start coming down and they say, okay, I'm gonna wait until they hit the bottom, but no one knows when that is, and then so they just stop. If you take a look at the S&P 500 this year, it's been going down, but it's not a straight line path. It's not like the stock market just goes like this and then all of a sudden goes up. It goes down, but there's peaks and valleys throughout that journey. So you can't just wait for the bottom because you don't know when that bottom is going to come. So what I always recommend and what the book recommends is to just keep buying. You'll buy some shares you might buy at a lower price, some might be higher, but in the long run, what's most important is the habit of just continuing to buy. What are the chances that you'll actually be able to get that exact bottom? Now, the difference between that individual and the individual who was buying consistently every month, the difference was marginal. And the other thing that makes it so difficult to time the bottom perfectly is usually when you hit the absolute bottom in the stock market, that's when you've got the most fear. So you've got to have an enormous amount of conviction that this is the right time to buy. When there's so much fear out there, the headlines are saying that this is the end, and that's when you've got to buy. So the chances of being able to do that are slim. One habit that I've been really focusing on this year is putting small amounts of every paycheck that I get into the S&P 500. I'll take an amount out of my paycheck and invest it right away. I don't look at what the price is. It's high, low. I'm just putting that money in. And the reason for that is I'm building that habit so that over the long run, I know that that money's going to grow, and I'm not too concerned in the short term what that price is. Now, okay, that's not entirely true. The other day, the stock market had gone up significantly over the past few days. I think it was up like 5% in a week. And I'm like, okay, this is definitely going to come down. It's going to cool off a bit. So I actually put in a limit order of what the price was, less about 5%. And I think the next day it actually ended up hitting that and my order went through. So maybe I saved a little bit there and timed the market a little bit. But again, if I'm putting a limit order in, I'm only really trying to get the sale to go through within a day or two. I'm not sitting there like a trader trying to time every move. These two books have changed the way that I look at things. Who Not How is especially great if you're looking to grow a business, and Just Keep Buying is a great one if you're new to investing or trying to figure out what the best way to manage your personal finances. It's one of my favorite books on personal finance. So definitely check them out. You can find Amazon links to the books below. And if you're waiting in the meantime, check out some of my other videos. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.